As far as providing them a propaganda platform, I don't know that I would call it that, but it doesn't bother me in the least. I mean, the United States government has been demonizing these men for 8 years now. They've held them in custody for over 6 years without giving them the opportunity to go to a real court, and I have no problem with it at all, and I'm quite proud to do it.
Simply use it as a platform to argue their case. They don't have a defense to speak of. It'll be a place for them to stand up and spread the terrible ideology that they adhere to.
So there you hear the lawyer for one of the 9/11 defendants and former Vice President Cheney. Interesting, Charles. He says the U.S. has been demonizing these men as he makes clear that the 9/11 defendants plan to use their trial to rail against U.S. policies. Who would have thought such a thing could happen?
Well, actually, I did, as did tens of millions of other Americans whose eyes are open. Eric Holder on this is utterly clueless, and we could see it in the Senate hearings last week in which Senator Graham asked him, he said, can you give us one case in American history of an enemy combatant captured abroad who was brought to a civilian trial in the United States? Eric Holder answers, I don't know, I'll have to look at that. He doesn't know. He's the Attorney General of the United States. And Graham cuts him short and says, I'll save you the time. It's never happened in American history. This is entirely unprecedented because it makes no sense. Even FDR, a Democratic liberal president, who when we had the captured German saboteurs, actually the captured on American soil, it wasn't even abroad, had them in front of a military court, a secret one. They were executed, and the Supreme Court subsequently said it was the right thing to do. The propaganda here, as we saw in that lawyer speaking, is beginning. Holder tried to say that the reason he's doing it in New York, I think he was saying, because he was almost utterly incoherent, was that he could get a conviction in New York in a civilian court. In fact, the 5 defendants last year had demanded to plead the guilty and be executed in Guantanamo in front of a military tribunal. And that would have been obviously a sure thing. It would not have provided the propaganda setting that he's going to have in New York. And that's why all of a sudden the plea has been changed. It'll be not guilty. And they are going to say, of course we did it, and here's why. It was an act of justice. And they're going to say it not just on like a scratchy tape out of Osama that'll be on some Arab station. It's going to be on every station, every network, every television in the entire world.
Well, it's not going to be on tape. It's not going to be videotaped.
The lawyers will be out there every day. There's going to be a repetition of this every day. There are going to be witnesses who talk about this every day. It will be the story, as Holder himself has said, it will be the trial of the century. And the last trial of our century was O.J. Simpson. It's going to be the same deal.
Now, what do you think, Maura? I mean,